Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Gaura Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo, Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Privrata Acharya of Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Privrata Acharya of Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananta Kodi Vaishnavandi Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Jai Gaura Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo. All glories and lotus. All glories and lotus, all glories and lotus, all glories to Shigunshi Goranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskrityo Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamodirayat. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 12, Text 42. Yaha Pancha Varsho Guru Dara Vak Sharar Binena Yato Hidayena Duyata Vanam Mad Adesha Karo Pitam Prabhum Jigaya Tad Bhakta Gunai Paranjitam Ya Panchavarsha Guru Dara Vakir Sharar Binena Yato Hridayena Dayata Vanamna Adisha Karojitam Prabhum Jigaya Tad Bhakta Gunai Parajitam Ya Panchavarsha Guru Dara Vakpashadar Panena Yato Hridayena Duyata Vanamad Adisha Karojitam Prabhum Jigaya Tad Bhakta Gunai Parajitam Ya Panchavarsha Guru Dara Vakshare Binena Yata Hridayena Duyata Vanamad Adisha Karojitam Prabhum Jigaya Tad Bhakta Guna Praranjitam Panchavarsha Guru Dakva Darjanar Padyena Yata Hridayena Duyata Sedasha Karojitam Prabhum Etad Paritaditam Ya Panchavarsha Guru Dara Vaksharir Yena Data Duidena Dujita Siddhanida Prabhum Jigaya Bhakta Guna Parajajitam Ya Panchavarsha Guru Dara Vaksharir Binena Yata Hridayena Duyata Saditum Prabhum Ayatat Bhakti Pachitam Panchavarsha Guru Dara Vaksharir Yena Yata Hridayena Duyata Jigaya Tad Bhakta Gunan Vaishnav Nadiyata Danam Tidesha Karojitam Prabhum
Jigaya Tad Bhakta
Vaishnavis,
Panchavarsha Guru Dara Vaksharir Dinena Yata Hridayena Duyata Anam Tadada Shikaro Jitam Prabhum Agaya Bhataka
Yaha, he who,
Panchavarsha
at the age of 5 years,
Guru Dara
of the wife of his father,
Vakshare
by the harsh words,
Binena
being very much aggrieved,
Yata went Hridayena because of his heart, Duyata
very much pained,
Vanam to the forest, Madadesha
according to my instruction,
Kara
acting,
Ajitam unconquerable, Prabhum
the Supreme Personality of Godhead,
Jigaya
he defeated,
Tat his, Bhakta of devotees, Gunai with the qualities, Parajitam
conquered. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki!
The great sage Narada continued, just see how Dhruva Maharaj, aggrieved at the harsh words of his stepmother, went to the forest at the age of only 5 years, and under my direction underwent austerity. Although the Supreme Personality of Godhead is unconquerable, Dhruva Maharaj defeated him with the specific qualifications possessed by the Lord's devotees.
Is there a translation or ongoing translation? So I speak English slowly. Okay. Translation going. Okay, good. Wow. Okay.
Purport. The Supreme Godhead is unconquerable. No one can conquer the Lord, but he voluntarily accepts subordination to the devotional qualities
Of his devotees.
For example, Lord Krishna accepted subordination to the control of Mother Yashoda because she was a great devotee. The Lord likes to be under the control of his devotees. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that everyone comes before the Lord and offers him exalted prayers. But the Lord does not feel as pleased when offered such prayers as he does when a devotee, out of pure love, chastises him as a subordinate. The Lord forgets his exalted position and willingly submits to his pure devotee. Dhruva Maharaj conquered the Supreme Lord because at a very tender age, only 5 years old, he underwent all the austerities of devotional service. This devotional service was of course executed under the direction of a great sage, Narada. This is the first principle of devotional service, Ado Guruv Ashraya. In the beginning, one must accept a bona fide spiritual master, and if a devotee follows strictly the direction of the spiritual master, as Dhruva Maharaj followed the instruction of Narada Muni, then it is not difficult for him to achieve the favor of the Lord. The sum total of devotional qualities and development of unalloyed love for Krishna. This unalloyed love for Krishna can be achieved simply by hearing about Krishna. Lord Chaitanya accepted this principle that if one in any position submissively hears the transcendental message spoken by Krishna or about Krishna, then gradually he develops the quality of unalloyed love. And by that love only, he can conquer the unconquerable. The Mayavad philosophers aspire to become one with the Supreme Lord, but a devotee surpasses that position. Not only does a devotee become one in quality with the Supreme Lord, but he sometimes becomes the father, mother, or master of the Lord. Arjuna also, by his devotional service, made Lord Krishna his chariot driver. He ordered the Lord, "Put my chariot here." And the Lord executed his order. These are some examples of how a devotee can acquire the exalted position of conquering the unconquerable. Translation once again. The great sage Narada continued, "Just see how Dhruva Maharaj, aggrieved at the harsh words of his stepmother, went to the forest at the age of only 5 years, and under my direction underwent austerity. Although the Supreme Personality of God is unconquerable, Dhruva Maharaj defeated him with the specific qualifications possessed by the Lord's devotees." Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshuramritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vansha kalpadrubhyascha kripasindubhyevacha patijanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Makam karoti vachanam pangum lankaite girim nakripatamaham vande Shri Gunadinataranam Shri Paramadamamadamam Shri Chaitanya Ishvaram. Namaste, Saraswati Gauravani Bhajani. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasidesha Tarine. Wow, an amazing translation and purport. Srila Prabhupada's purports are simply inconceivable. And within those purports, he drops bombshells. This one is a bombshell, describing how a devotee in love and devotion can conquer the Supreme. So here, Prabhupada is acknowledging the purport. The Lord is unconquerable. No one can conquer the Supreme Lord but his devotee in love. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, chapter 14, text 16, there's a very nice verse which describes how the Lord glorifies his devotees. Niripiksham nivam shantam niranam atmak buddhasam. That actually the lotus feet of my devotees purify this material field, this material world. I follow my devotees who are absorbed in hearing and chanting about my name, form, activities, and pastimes, and who do not discriminate. We hear in the Shastras when a devotee dances with the hands in the air, pure devotee dances, and the legs dancing, the Swami step. Srila Prabhupada's Swami step, key! That the devotee's hands could deliver the upper planetary systems, and his feet can deliver the lower planetary systems. This is the power invested in bhakti. And it's amazing because we're reading about a verse how the devotees, like Dhruva Maharaj, can become so dear because he follows the order of Guru to capture, to control the Supreme Lord. Another example is given here is Yashoda. There's so many examples in the Bhagavatam. It is common knowledge in Braj for those who do Giriraj Prikrama that many persons are doing Giriraj Prikrama. Many Sakhama devotees, those who have material interests. And then there's many Vaishnavas who are performing tapasya and seva in a relation to the Lord. So many people go there to pray to Giriraj. Oh, give me a good wife, give me a good husband. Oh, a new Indy car, yes. 8-cylinder. They'll go to Giriraj and offer mundane prayers who are trying to live in the sandbox of the material world. But for a devotee, a pure devotee, there is a different reciprocation from the Lord, because when Giriraj follows when he follows his devotees, he awards a benediction. It's described how he follows them on parikrama. He gives them special blessings. Okay, tatastu, you get your car, you get your family. But for a Vaishnava, one who is worshiping the Lord, ahoy tu ki apratiyata, his attitude is unmotivated, unbroken, he follows that person. Tik, what is this? What does he want from me? Now, Giriraj is at this point 21 kilometers around, so it's a long time for the Lord to observe his devotee. So a Vaishnava will perform service around Giri Govardhan to increase one's devotion and service to Guru, to actually increase one's taste for the Nam, to develop an appreciation for true devotional service. As stated in the Bhagavatam 1.2.6, Savai pumsam parar domo yato bhaktir hoksaje, ahoy tuki apratiyata yayatma suprasidati, that the supreme occupation for humanity at large is the performance of devotional service which is unbroken and without motivation to completely satisfy the self. This is the process of devotional service. And in reading this purport and the subject at hand, we cannot help reflect on what Srila Prabhupada has done for all of us. Srila Prabhupada was a spiritual genius in that he was able to engage so many devotees of different backgrounds, different characters, different qualities, in terms of his Sankirtan mission. So what a genius he was, what a genius he is, to find the ways and means to encourage others to add Krishna, awakening Vaishnav culture within Bharatavarsha and in the Western fields, going into lands where the samskara is very mixed, very confused, where they would develop a sense of urgency for spiritual advancement. So in this way, we can really see the power of what Srila Prabhupada has done. That for those persons who had difficulties and had problems in their life, by absorbing oneself in devotional service, their problems become free. Ahoy tu ki arpatiyata. Free, completely free. And then they can solve the problems of others. And the purport gives an example of one amazing feat of how the devotee conquers the Lord. And when Lord Krishna took the humble position to drive the chariot of Arjuna, Radha Partha Satiki. And the charioteer is in a lower position as the charioteer driver. The Kshatriya is above the Lord. And Lord Krishna, as is described here, would take the chariot here and there. And before the battle began, he spoke the Bhagavad Gita. We're so fortunate to get the Bhagavad Gita as it is. 700 versions of Bhagavad Gita in the world today. Jai Shishi Gonitai Ki Jai, Shishi Radha Partha Lita Shakavi Kai, Shishi Taram Lakshman Hanuman Ki Jai. That we just see how the power of devotional service, that Krishna would spend time on the chariot, and there's different descriptions. The Lord speaking to Arjuna. Some descriptions are where the Lord is looking over his shoulder, bending his neck for a long period to present instructions to Arjuna. How the Lord is so merciful. And he knows the heart of Arjuna. And Arjuna is placing various arguments. Oh, why should I face my family? By the arrangement of the Lord, Arjuna falls into Maya. He comes to the bodily concept. Let me go to the forest and let me offer some flour. In this way. But Arjuna is Kshatriya. He has a nature of fighting, so in this way, the Lord expertly instructed him. The Lord placed Arjuna into illusion. At the same time, drove his chariot in submission and service. This is an amazing aspect of the Lord. At the Rajasuya sacrifice, after the big feast, Lord Krishna himself would directly go clean the plates, pick them up. It's a very unclean service. But the Lord himself would actually take with his own hands and put the remnants in a basket. Now this is amazing what we're discussing today, because how is it the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Controller, will take such a humble position in relation to his devotees? Because it is that relationship. It is so inconceivable for someone who is averse to the Supreme Lord. If the Supreme Lord gives mercy to a small snake, that small snake can devour Garuda. It's nice to remember when we're on Sankirtan. I remember I always, before becoming devotee, I always would want to go to the mountains or go by the ocean. I did not like the cities so much. And then I began distributing Prabhupada's books. I found myself in LAX, the hub in America for distribution of material culture. But the devotees are there distributing books, distributing spiritual culture. So it's amazing to note, every one of you have experienced this. As soon as you take on a service, trying to serve Guru and Krishna, because you see here, Dhruva Maharaj, he's offering a relationship with Narada Muni. He's following the examples. He wants a kingdom like his father's. And Narada Muni checks him, hey, gives him test him. You're a small boy, 5 years of old age. Go back home. But Ekeha Kurunanda, he was fixed. He had a goal. Then Narada gave him, okay, now you go and perform some meditation. So he followed that. And a small boy, 5 years of age, Komana Achara Pragya, from the very early age of childhood, because of that purity, he received darshan of the Supreme. But because he had some motivation, it was a temporary darshan. But nonetheless, he received the darshan of the Supreme Lord himself. So when we receive the mercy of Krishna, we have to always maintain a quality of humility. Now in the Bhagavatam, in the 7th canto, 8th chapter, text 7, Prahlad Maharaj is giving some advice to his father, Hiranyakashipu. Kevalam bhavatasta rajan. He refers to his father, O king, not father, O king. You should not become proud of your power. You're asking me where my power is coming from. Because Hiranyakashipu was asking, where are you getting your power? Is it here? Is it there? Is it? Get finished. The power, my power, the source of my power is the same as the source of your power. Similarly, Hanuman is revealing to Ravana that this is a Sundara Kanda. He says to Ravana, do you really think it was me that destroyed the Ashoka Vardhan garden? Do you think it was me that killed all these demons? No, no, no. That is my Supreme Lord working through me. Now it's amazing to note the devotee, instead of trying to challenge the Supreme, to take the Supreme, as described in the last part of the purport, to become the Supreme. The last snare of material existence, the impersonalistic understanding. Devotee wants to understand, aham brahmasmi ne dasosmi, that I am not focusing on this aspect of spirit. I am emphasizing my relation with you as a servant. So in this way, there is a unique empowerment that's there, a unique sense of humility where the devotee is conscious of the Lord. And then he becomes empowered. He or she becomes empowered to do unlimited fields of activity. So from the Shikshastakam, Tranadapi Sunichana, Turorya Vasahisana, Amanina Mandaidana, Kirtaniya, Sada Hari. If a devotee is simply humbler than a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and is always ready to offer respects to others, this is the spiritual platform. One question came last night in regards towards difficulties on the spiritual path. And how do we know we're getting the right instruction, the right advice? And I simply said, you simply study the Shikshastakam. You see those persons who are representing Krishna, how they are in relationship to the Shikshastakam prayers, and how they emphasize this essential truth. You see, a devotee has empowerment, is always remembering Krishna, never forgetting Krishna, when the devotee understands this essential principle of how to become free from aham, I and mine. Any authority who gives you information, who exhibits attachment to I and mine, who does not exemplify the qualities we see in Shikshastakam, we can see this is not the pure authority. We are coming in a parampara of acharyas who have that purity, and as we're reading about here, that empowers, that purity Krishna enjoys, and he actually empowers that devotee to do wonderful feats of service. So in this way, a devotee's life is yastamritamala shravana vagraha. That absorbed in service to the Lord, all impurities are taken away. Now, if we look at the process of devotional service, because here, There's very wonderful examples of how the Supreme Lord is unconquerable. Many mystics, many materialists are trying to usurp his power. Just we see in Ram Lila, the different sages performed great austerities for thousands of years to receive the darshan of Lord Ram. And Lord Ramachandra, he passed right by the sages and went to Subari, who was a low-class, material birth-wise woman, but she was so absorbed, cent% in her Lord, that she even took some bera, some fruit, to offer to her Lord, tasted first and then gave. It's ready to give to my Lord. That was her bhav. We don't imitate that. But we can see someone who is on that platform purchases the Lord. And in this way, he develops a sense of relationship. But how do we develop that relationship? That comes through the relationship as described here with the spiritual master. So in 434, we see the verse, Tad viparipatena prishpasena sevatya upadikshani gyaninas tattva darshanaha. That just try and learn the truth and approach a guru, approach a spiritual master, render service unto him submissively, and the self-realized souls can impart knowledge because they are knowers of the truth. So Dhruva Maharaj, he got his empowerment by service to Narada Muni. All of us are getting our empowerment in service to Guru in relationship to Srila Prabhupada and the Parampara. As Prabhupada would say, simple for the simple, but difficult for those who have crooked minds. Shraddha, faith in Guru, this is everything. There's one example how Guru Nanak, he had one disciple, and he told him to make a clay plate. Make the plate, cook it, and break it. Make the plate, cook it, break it. Again and again and again. He gave the instruction. So one person was saying, hey, one other materialistic person, hey, Pagal, what are you doing, wasting your time? Your guru's ordered you to make a plate, to cook it and break it? What are you doing? The disciple responded, this is the perfection. Getting the order of my spiritual master. Whatever he tells me, I will do. This is the perfection. This is the training in which can bring us to the topmost platform and help us purify our heart where we can understand Krishna's plan for us. So it's interesting if we study how the devotee, the Lord, as described here, will send his pure devotees into this world. And he becomes controlled. The Lord comes, paritranaya sadhanam vinanashrayata diskritam, to deliver his devotees and to annihilate the materialistic element. But the main reason for his descent is his bhakta. And even the Bom Leelas are so sweet that the presence, the experience of demons are a real affair, while in Golok, that conscious is there, but there's just rumors. But in the material field, there are exact demons that come. The devotees really have to pray to the Lord, pray for protection. And in this way, we have to develop a sense of hankering. Because the Lord will send his pure devotees to offer respects. If we don't offer respects, we get ourselves in trouble. And you know, in relation to the pastime of Durvasa, incarnation of Lord Shiva, performing such tapasya, such austerity, so many powers. But he got envious of a pure devotee, Maharaj Ambarish. He's so jealous. And in this way, he tried to curse, he tried to kill Maharaj Ambarish due to that envy. Well, you see, the Lord protects his devotee. Rakhe Krishna Mareke, Mare Krishna Rakhe. Krishna wants to kill you, no one can save you. If Krishna wants to save you, no one can harm you. So in this way, Durvasa was running throughout the universe, running away from the Sudarshan Chakra, was chasing him. He went to Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma. I cannot help you, I cannot help you. He went to Lord Vishnu. I cannot help you either. But he gave him good advice. You go take shelter of Maharaj Ambarish, then you can be helped. But it's interesting, this pastime, because Durvasa Muni went to Maharaj Ambarish and offered so many prayers. And then Ambarish offered so many prayers to Sudarshan Chakra. That you are the source of the sun. You are effulgent like the sun. Glorified in so many ways, but that made no difference. Sudarshan was still burning Durvasa, burning him. But then, in the 9th canto, 5th chapter, text 11, the Lord, Maharaj Ambarish, offers a particular prayer that changed the heart of Sudarshan Chakra. He actually said, if my devotional service has in any way pleased the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then, if that is true, then please relieve Durvasa Muni of this pain, O Sudarshan. And at that point, Sudarshan went away. Now here's Durvasa. He was thinking, my goodness, how is this possible? But because of pride that was there, he even later, because of pride, was envious, even after seeing that. And he asked the Lord to curse Maharaj Ambarish for 1,000 births. But the Lord protects his, because now you understand, Durvasa Muni is very dear to the Lord, and he protects the vow of his devotee. He protects his devotee who performs bhajan, who performs austerity. And then the Lord was very expert. He said, okay, I myself will take those births. And every one of my births will equal 100 for Maharaj Ambarish. So 10 incarnations. In this way, the Lord fulfilled the prayers of his devotees and at the same time protected his devotees. So it's amazing how the Lord, the possessor of the Kanksh, the possessor of the chakra, chamra, is fear personified, becomes a friend of his devotee. Now, as we read these descriptions or hear about them, we apply in our own life how we're engaged in a particular service, and how when we absorb ourselves in a service, there's a certain type of empowerment. As I said earlier, I like to be in the country, but when I became devotional service, I find myself mostly in the city areas. That's where the people are. So it's a very wonderful blessing upon you. I do traveling in many temples in the world, and I must say, because city environment is not so natural, but the spiritual atmosphere in this temple is one of the best I've seen. Because ultimately you're following the order of the Guru, foremost by two orders: the distribution of his transcendental literatures and the establishment of his temples. So it's a wonderful experience for someone who does some traveling. So you're very, very fortunate. Somehow or another, as Prabhupada would say, you look to your right, you look to your left, you never know who he's sitting next to. Could be Narada Muni. You never know who you're sitting here in this battle. These battlefield, this headquarters for distribution of Krishna consciousness. And interesting to note, because there's that clarity of service to the Guru, there's transparency in management. And from what knowledge I know, so much money is coming into this temple and you're able to construct other temples. That does not happen unless there's some transparency. The congregation, they have to see what the temple authorities are doing. No? If that happens, there's some problem. So it's amazing to see. Unfortunately, I see in different parts of the world, there's not so much transparency that's there. Where there's the greatest transparency is where the yajna of book distribution is being done. Brihat Mridanga Ki! So it doesn't matter if you're directly on the streets, or if you're supporting that, or you're in a guide museum supporting that. It's all interrelated. You see, this type of service controls the Lord. Prabhupada said himself, you should have books your whole life. Someday the hand that reaches out will be blue. So you're so fortunate. You never know, you'll be at that stoplight, you know. We got a good book. Talks about yoga, meditation, how to be experienced. And then all of a sudden, my God. Sakshat Darshan. Thakurji driving IndyCar. I'm just joking, but you know, guys, we cannot limit Krishna or take things cheaply. But it's amazing, this principle of how a devotee can control God is spoken by Narada Muni in the 4th canto, 31st chapter, text 20. Apahata sukalash santam avinavratam. This is the first shloka of this 4 lines where Narada is speaking to Prachetas. And he's saying that the process of devotional service is so powerful that even if you get knocked down, even if there is some fall down, apichet sudaracharo, if you get back up and fight, that utsaham, that enthusiasm in Krishna consciousness, even though there's been some mistake, is enough to conquer the Supreme Lord. Described for one who performs the process of celibacy in complete perfection, can take birth in the planet of Lord Brahma, performing great tapasya, great austerities. But when we do these activities in relation to Bhagavan, then we understand there's a sense of empowerment, there's a sense of purpose, there's a sense of being enjoyed. This is the difference between material and spiritual culture. Material culture means I want to enjoy the Supreme in some capacity. But a devotee, a bhakta, one who performs aradhana, worship of the Lord, wants to simply be enjoyed by his Lord. So in this way, Narada underlines the point. And Prabhupada describes in that purport of 431.20 that even if the Lord, a devotee strikes the Lord will not go away. Now, Nanda Baba became very affluent, very wealthy. So many cows, such a big treasury, that even someone who is the father of the Supreme Lord, because this verse is speaking about the pure devotee can enter into various relationships, whether as a friend, whether as a lover, a parent. Even the parent of the Supreme, Nanda Baba, began to forget Krishna. He became a little intoxicated. So in this way, the Lord did not leave him. So he made a special pastime. Well, let's perform some yajna, not to satisfy Indra, but to satisfy Giri Govardhan. We'll use all this wealth and use it for Giriraj. Giriraj Maharaj Ki. That's what Srila Prabhupada, how he trained us. You can spend unlimited wealth in service to the mission. And even I think it was when Tamal Krishna Maharaj was his personal servant in Vrindavan, he went And he gave Tamal Krishna like something like 10 rupees, very little amount, to go do something. And then he would lock his drawer every time. And Tamal was thinking, gosh, we're his servants. We're not going to steal from our guru. So anyways, when he came back to buy whatever it was, Prabhupada says, where's the change? And then Prabhupada explained to him, not a penny, not a farthing is wasted in service of the Lord. Sometimes a devotee may see a fan on in a room or a light. You turn it off. If you do not, if there's any wastage of water or a fan or energy with a light, you're not a devotee of the Lord. You are not a true servant. Because everything is in connection with the Supreme. Like, for example, book distribution, the Sankirtan devotee is meditating Antaryami, the Lord in the heart. And how the spiritual master is our manifestation of my Lord, and he has given me instruction for this service. So he's looking for Krishna everywhere. Getting back to my earlier point, what Prabhupada did was a complete genius. He is dealing with persons who are, in a sense, Atmaha, they're killer of the self, and making them mindful of the Supreme Self within, the Supreme Self without. So by the process of performing devotional service step by step, the Dhammi Buddhi Yoga, intelligence comes of how to increase my service, how to become honest, how to become dedicated to Guru. And every day there's an empowerment, more and more realization coming. So here this verse is speaking about how devotees who are on that platform, how they are actually experiencing a complete sense of freedom and a desire to try and glorify the Lord. In the 12th canto, 12th chapter, text 48, the first part of the verse goes, Sankirya Mano Bhagavan Anamvrita, which describes how the Lord is present in the life of a devotee. As the sky never becomes invisible, similarly the Lord never forgets his devotee. He never will leave the devotee alone. In the Christian tradition, they speak about the dark night of the soul. How when the soul is in a mood of separation, there may be this quality of feeling separateness, but for a Vaishnava, though there may be that physical separation, there is always that connection. There is always that relationship. And Srila Prabhupada himself said, I see all of you sent to me by my Guru Maharaj. His physical sons did not see Prabhupada or respect him in the proper light. But then he said, you are my true sons and daughters. So yes, an expert Sankirtan devotee sees like this, that they're parts and parcels of the Supreme. They're all a relation. So they may be in ignorance, so we give some book. And the deity will act in their life. So it's interesting, as we perform that service of Sankirtan, or as we manage the Sankirtan, or as we build the temples, as we manage in relationship towards the preaching, we're performing tapasya, we're performing austerity to be mindful of Guru and Krishna. This is all leads towards, through dedicated service, to someday receive that complete darshan of the Lord through seva. Of course, the devotee wants service. A true devotee aspires to to relish that relation, to not try and enjoy Krishna, but try and be enjoyed by Krishna. And in that way, develop a particular emotion of love. Because Sankirtan devotee learns, or those who support the Sankirtan, Ishvara sarabhutanam hridayasharjuni tishtati. Brahmayan sarabhutani yantrarunani maya. He realizes that I am a living entity. I am riding on this material body, born of material nature. So there may be some struggle, but by the help of the Lord, there is full direction. So it's apropos in this purport, Prabhupada describes how Krishna drove the chariot of Arjuna in Seva. Krishna gave revelation, darshan, to Dhruva Maharaj. He became, shall we say, controlled by him in that way. The process in the Bhagavatam devotional service means the fifth process is nishta. We develop, we become fixed in service to Guru and Krishna. Then what comes? Ruchi. There becomes an interest. There becomes a taste. Now, what Prabhupada has empowered us to do, to interface with this material world, as Christ has said, be in the world but not of the world. That to be in a city environment, be mindful of Krishna, be mindful of Guru and Krishna, and then there is a relationship of dependence. There's a sense of empowerment. There's obstacles that are sent our way to increase our sense of dependence. Because I was saying last night, you look in the mirror and you see you got a material body there. You know Bhagavan's sense of humor. You got, something's wrong with material form. Due to previous choices, we are driving a yantrarudani, maya, made of material energy, a machine made of material energy. Because of our choice, because of our previous samskaras. But when you choose to serve the Lord of your heart, and you see the devotees in relationship to that Lord, because this is the fast lane to spiritual progression. To not approach Krishna directly, approach his devotee. Because Lord Kapila makes it very clear, if you worship him directly, worship the Lord, but don't acknowledge the devotee, all zero. We cannot approach the Bhagavan unless we go through his devotees, through his parts and parcels. So it's an amazing process we're being given. Don't take it for granted. How there is an amazing sense of empowerment, of intimacy and relation with the Supreme Lord. Now Mother Kunti, she was in Braj at the time. Mother Yashoda would chase Lord Little Krishna with a stick in hand. The Damodar pastimes. Mother Kunti saw this. She was at her father's house in Braj at that time. And when she saw the Supreme Lord, who death and time, they fear the Supreme. Death and time fear that Lord. And she saw how the controller of death and time was running with kajal all over his eyes and tears, breathing quickly. So in the 10th canto, 9th chapter, text 9, is where we see this verse where Mother Yashoda is running after little Krishna and he's crying. And she's there to she's not chastising him because she sees him as G-O-D. She says, he's just my son. He's naughty. Bhagavan becomes controlled by his devotee in that way. So this is quite interesting to note. What we're coming in contact with is by devotional service, we're coming in contact with a personal feature of a Lord. As described here, the impersonal feature, they're envious. They cannot develop the ras. Rasavai saha, that is Krishna. He's a reservoir of ras. But we are coming in contact by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and the agents in Parampara with a most unique formula. We're experiencing this incarnation of Krishna and the sweetness of the Lord's incarnation. The sweetness of the Lord's form is this. He no longer becomes God. The supreme controller of this universe with his devotee no longer acts as God. In Braj, Krishna loves when the gopis would chastise Krishna. You simply dance for us, we'll give you some chach. Or one of my favorite pastimes was Bhima, was in Dwarka. Everyone knows Bhima likes to eat. Strength of 10,000 elephants. So Lord Krishna gave an invitation to Bhima. Come, take prasad. So then Bhima was thinking, oh, I'll starve today. I'll get real hungry. You know what brahmacharis are like when they're really hungry? Class goes overtime? No. But, so anyways, the Lord invited Bhima, you come. And then, so Lord instructed his doormen, 10 of them, to not let Bhima come through. Huh? No. Whatever you do, don't let him by. So then Bhima, he comes, he said, you have to sit down, Lord's eating right now. What do you mean? He's eating. He's invited me for prasad. No, you have to wait. Krishna is in the next room, Lord knowing. So he begins to, paneer, sabji. And there were some poppers. Oh. And then Bhima's going, he's got the brahmachari, Brahmachari hunger. What are you doing? He goes, I'm going. They said, no, you cannot. Oh, yeah? 10,000 elephants, threw him aside, and he went in. Krishna! And this is a modern, exaggeration of the past. So you get the idea. But Krishna, you invited me to come. And you are eating before me. How can you do this? He got so angry, he began to chastise. He began to swear at Krishna. And Lord says, what's your problem? There's some dried roti here. Some dal here. There's something left for you. Oh! You see, Dwarkadish is tired of being worshipped as Bhagavan. Oh, you're the way, the truth, and the light. He's tired of that. He wants to get some chastisement. And only out of all the Pandavas, it's only Bhima could chastise the Lord. Only Bhima. The rest, Trinada, peace, and Nietzsche. So this is the beauty of the Lord, how he relishes human-like relationships. So it's amazing. This process is so powerful. And I remember before becoming devotee of reading so many books about yoga and this type of meditation, that type of meditation. I want this. I want to become mystic power. Kokbalu Brahmachari, yes, this is what I want, power. Isvara Aham Bhogi, Sinanam Balavan Sukhi. But by simple, loving relationships with the Lord, by seeing the devotees in relationship to God, you see, it's quite interesting where we're seeing head. Krishna forgets he is the supreme. So what does that mean mathematically? The devotees become greater than God in the eyes of the Lord. The devotees control me. They're greater than me. They're more powerful than me. And when you understand that essential principle of how powerful these devotees are, Prabhupada said, how many pure devotees in your movement? And the devotees asked, how many devotees are there? He gave an example of a mango, ripe mango, unripe mango. A mango's a mango. It's in the shower of cultivation, of purification. So when we see the devotees on that honorific level, we will make rapid advancement because we will not make offense. We'll serve them in relationship to the Supreme, and then we'll come in contact with that form of Krishna who acts and walks within that field as no longer God. Our fortune is so great.
Hare Krishna. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Hare Krishna. Yes. The mic? Oh, this is not the...
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj. So very nice lecture. Prabhupada also writes very deep and very nice purport, and you also spoke in that direction. So this is very nice conclusion of this verse. The Lord becomes defeated by the devotees. But these three verses are spoken by Narad Muni. So Maitreya Muni is saying that Narad Muni spoke these three verses in the company of Prachetas.
Yes.
And you also referred one verse from the 31st chapter. Naradi speaking to Prachetas. Actually, these three verses are also included in that. Should be included. But they have not been included in that because they have been already given by Maitreya Muni. So actually, by fortune or by some arrangement, divine arrangement, that you spoke the verse of Narad Muni to Prachetas. But actually, this is also the Narad Muni speaking to Prachetas. Hare Krishna.
We make a good team. Because you're a good listener somehow. Actually, it is ascribed for a devotee who speaks Bhagavatam. It is 11 times more purifying than hearing. Of course, you have to hear first. But it is very, very, very valuable seva, very great opportunity. So if you're given that opportunity, but it's 11 times more purifying than hearing. So it's a good combination. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. Thank you for the opportunity for my purification. Hare Krishna.
ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, जगत गुरु शिला प्रभुपाद की जय, भक्ति सिद्धांत स्वामी महाराज की जय.